What is going on, guys? My name is Dimitri and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the top 5 Google Calendar tips that I have for you guys to improve your productivity and your overall life when you're using Google Calendar. Before we get into the topic of this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like button, and the notification bell down below so you can make sure that you can stay up to date with all of my latest videos. And I really appreciate the support that each and every one of you guys give to this channel. Without further ado, let's get into the topic of this video. So my first tip for this video is really talking about how in Google Calendar, it's important that you make reoccurring tasks, but not only when you make these recurring tasks do you make them in general, you make sure that you utilize the each and every day function. So when you're setting up your different recurring tasks, for example, say you wake up for work Monday through Friday at the same time, I really do recommend that for the future, you actually set it so that like there's a never end date. But at the same time, for these things that always happen, like you're always gonna wake up, you're always gonna fall asleep, hopefully. You set it so that the recurring portion of it is set to each day of the week only. So, for example, in my Google Calendar, I don't set my Monday through Friday wake up at the exact same time because there is always the little differentiations that happen. So then when you wanna make a change like this for this and all following events, you don't mess up the whole thing. So say, for example, on a Tuesday, I want to wake up 30 minutes earlier for more recording. I don't know. I may do that in the future. And I've seen it happen, especially when I was in school and when I ran track. There were so many different times where different practice days were not the exact same length of time. So I learned my lesson when I had to literally delete and go through and make the recurring event again. It's not worth it. Just have recurring events set for these specific days only. It takes an extra few minutes up front, but will save you a lot of time in the end because life changes and it's never the same. So for number 2, we're actually going into my Google Calendar itself on the screen there in a second. But first and foremost, it's really crazy how awesome Google Calendar's had integrations recently. You can actually set a location for a new Google Calendar event inside of a different scheduled meeting software. So for like example, like Zoom, Teams, all those sort of things, you can dive into these and use them by just putting it in the location. So number 3 is the Google Apps sidebar. So I think, a lot of people have the left part up a lot of the time in regards to like the little sidebar when Google Calendar is open, but they don't really look at the right. And on the right, there's this amazing sort of situation where you can add all these different Google apps. And for me, I think Google Keep and Google Tasks are a steady one that's always going to be in there. And there's Maps as well. If you want to just get a quick look at Google Maps, it's nice to see it. But the ones that are in there by default are Google Keep, which is their note-taking software, and then Google Tasks, which is something nice to pair with Google Calendar if you want to keep everything in one space and don't want to go all Notion on the thing, as it were. And I really do like the way that this functions. If you have any different apps that you want to connect with Google Calendar, there are a lot of different availabilities there, and I recommend you go and check that out because it is something that can really benefit you. Having those tasks right to the right of your Google Calendar as well, nothing to be like mad at. I think it's a great benefit. This is something that has not always been in Google Calendar, so this new feature more or less is one of those things that can really help you improve your productivity by having things all in one space and very simplified. Google is it's improving things all the time. Working with Google stuff now recently with work, I really understand how much Google's getting into things. Like I didn't know recently, like Google has like a domain hosting service now. So with my website, if I ever feel like moving it there, I could. Tip number 4 would actually be adding different calendars. So I have my own calendar that is like my Gmail calendar, right? But not only can you have your own one, but you can add different ones from Apple calendars, Outlook, other softwares. It's really beneficial to import those other calendars so you get a better idea when planning. So for our family calendar, I have that imported from Apple, and it helps me, I kind of try to communicate with family, especially recently, like when am I recording, all those sort of things. So I have it a little bit adjusted in there in regards to like, okay, let's make a little tweak as to when my working on recording and side hustle is so people are aware. I can just like open up the calendar real quick and just like adjust it. It's really nice. I recommend that mainly so you can like just do a better job of planning around other people as well, because it's not all about you. I'm just kidding. There's just a very serious thing there where sometimes miscommunications happen, and having that extra calendar is very beneficial to seeing how it all plays out. And it actually goes into another tip that I'm going to talk about later. And that tip is actually that you should make multiple calendars in Google Calendar for yourself. So you shouldn't just have like your main overall calendar. You should at least at the minimum have a test calendar. And this is really nice for me, especially since I've been making videos recently. And I realized I probably should have been doing that for a while, because having all of my personal like schedule from the past like on the internet, not exactly ideal. No, not really, especially when like some names are there, you know, like it's not ideal. And I really do recommend you guys have a test calendar. So if you're ever making a future time block and you're like, okay, what would this time block look like? You at least get a representation of what that would look like, and then you can add it into your real calendar. And it never affects your workflow. It never affects your day-to-day. If you have the test calendar, it's also very nice to segment things out. So I know a lot of people color code, and I do that as well. So I always recommend color coding your Google Calendar. I didn't really make that a tip because I don't want to say it's self-explanatory, but I feel like it's common knowledge. I wanted to be different with this one. And I recommend that you go and you color code different like calendars, right? And you can untick and showcase, okay, this is just my social stuff, this is my this stuff, this is my this stuff. And maybe you have like 4 or 5 different calendars that all together make your real calendar, and then you have a test calendar outside of that. Having the extra ones just add extra functionality, just add extra layers to it. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I recommend that you try out having more than just one calendar, and you may see some serious benefits from it. With that being said though, guys, I really do appreciate you guys continuing to go on this journey with me. I think in the past few weeks, I've really gotten a better workflow going on with both videos, work, etc. It's been busy, but hey, I'm a productivity guy or whatever, so I gotta do what I gotta do, and I've been enjoying what I gotta do, so can't complain about that. With that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one.